Okay, welcome everybody, and I'll call tonight's meeting to order. And if you would all stand, we'll just recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we start our meetings with a recitation of our mission statement. Dodge City Community College will provide opportunities for high-quality learning and will enhance the community and personal development in a student-centered environment. And this is a mission statement I think we all hold dear and true. So, we also open up the floor for anybody in the audience that would like to address the trustees. Mr. Thomas.
Welcome back.
Appreciate your time. I won't take too much of it. I haven't taken public speaking in like 25 years, so I'm going to read this, so bear with me. Most of you are aware of who I am, but for those of you that are not, my name is Gary Thomas. I served as the head football coach at Dodge City Community College for 6 years. I'm proud of what our teams, coaches, and support staff accomplished during our tenure, and I would like to share some of those accomplishments with you for some historical perspective. In the 6 previous seasons before my arrival, DC3 football team had a combined record of 7 wins and 48 losses for a 12% winning percentage and an average of 1.1 win per season. In 2012, the season before I accepted the position at DC3, the football team finished 0-9 with an average margin of defeat of 32.7 points per game. From 1988 to 2012, the DC3 football team had a combined record of 56 wins and 150 losses for a 27% winning percentage and an average of 2.2 wins per season, and only 2 winning seasons during that 25-year span. In my 6 seasons as a head football coach at DC3, we finished with a combined record of 33 wins and 33 losses. In 3 of my first 4 seasons, we finished in the top 2 in the conference. We won a conference championship in 2015, the first since 1983, one of only 6 in school history, and 4 of those occurred before 1962. We tied the school record for wins in a season with 9, which hadn't been done since 1961 and had only been accomplished 3 times in school history. We competed in bowl games in 2013 and 2015, 2 of only 6 bowl appearances the football team has qualified for in the history of the college. I finished as the 3rd winningest coach in the history of DC3 football, with the highest winning percentage of those top 3 coaches on the list, and accomplished it in the shortest amount of time. I coached 7 NJCAA All-Americans, countless all-conference players, and as of this coming fall, I have 5 former players that are with NFL organizations, 4 of which attended Dodge City Community College. Please understand that when I use the phrase school history or history of the college, I'm referring to the 80-plus years that the college has sponsored the sport of football. On top of all of those accomplishments, in the last 4 academic years, DC3 football has finished in the top 3 in the Jayhawk Conference for football team GPA, finishing first twice, and earning the highest cumulative GPA in the conference over that 4-year span with a cumulative 2.82 GPA. I have witnessed plenty of changes in my 20 years of employment in higher education. Some changes I questioned, but most I believed was for the better. The changes range from technological advances, which adapt the way the content is delivered to our students, to adjusting to the ever-evolving diversity of the actual college student. Many of the changes that affected me directly over the course of my career were changes in policy at both the NCAA and NJCAA levels. I have observed policy changes in the insurance industry, policy changes on how you can legally disseminate disciplinary action within your own team, and policy changes to what is regarded as permissible benefit to a student athlete. That is what brings me before you today. Every level and every conference in America has their own rules and interpretations on what the definition of a permissible benefit is. The rule books are hundreds of pages and sometimes can contain confusing wording, which makes it grueling to find the correct answer to a simple question. But better to be frustrated with the process than risk committing a rules infraction, which could lead to much larger problems down the road, or so I thought. Back in March, I learned of a rules infraction that took place during my tenure as the head football coach, which resulted in the forfeiture of contests. In education, there are endless policies and procedures that administrators and lawyers have put in place for almost every situation that could ever arise. In this particular incident, there were quite a few people who were forced to take action because of the policies that are in place that fell under their umbrella of authority. The director of housing, the head of judicial affairs, the head football coach, and the athletic director all had a certain amount of jurisdiction at the time. There were rules and policies in place that needed to be enforced, which led to the appropriate disciplinary action for the individual. Other actions followed later that allowed the student athlete to rejoin his team in good standing based on those same rules and policies. To the best of my knowledge, everybody did the right thing and handled the situation appropriately based on the team, college and team policy respectively. Yet here we are. I've gone through a whirlwind of emotions since hearing the ruling handing down by the NJCAA and have thought long and hard on how or if I will address the Board of Trustees about the situation. The team and the program as a whole were handed down a punishment, and they knowingly violated 0 rules. I've had my career accomplishments and legacy diminished over making a correct decision and following college policy to the letter. Seems to me that the only person that is not suffering any consequences from any of this is the person that actually committed the infraction, a member of our Board of Trustees. I feel like I have experienced 4 of the 5 stages of grief in the past few months. Denial. We didn't do anything wrong. This ruling can't be correct. Anger. We didn't do anything wrong. Somebody owes us an apology. Depression. I worked 80 hours a week, 7 days a week, from July until February, put my family obligations aside, and tried to do everything right to protect the members of my team, coaching staff, support staff, the reputation of the football program in college, and my own professional reputation, only to have some of it dismantled. And finally, acceptance. Well, I guess it is what it is. My initial reaction was to show up here tonight with the support of the football team and demand an apology. But cooler heads prevailed, and after having some time to think and reflect on it, I realized that it would be a waste of time. I don't believe the person that committed the infractions really cares, and I don't want to expose those young men to the truth that there are members of our Board of Trustees who would rather see the football program discontinued. The reason I did come and speak to you tonight is to express my disappointment. I've attended board meetings, I've read board minutes on occasion, and I've watched recorded streams of board meetings. I regularly hear board members requesting information from administrators, faculty, human resources, etc., so that they may better educate themselves on a matter so that they can make the best decision possible for the people that they represent. My disappointment comes from the fact that it wasn't done in this situation. I don't know how this could happen in an environment where rules from governing bodies and internal policies exist to help guide all of us. I'm disappointed in the lack of communication on the part of the college. For 20 years, I have regularly read articles and press releases of the successes and failures of teams that I have been associated with in the newspaper, on school websites, on message boards, and on social media. Sometimes it's a positive article, sometimes it's a negative article, and sometimes it feels like a personal attack on your ability to do your job. But as a coach, it comes with the territory. As a head coach, you are interviewed after every game, win or lose. When you win, you give all the credit to the players and your assistant coaches. When you lose, you take full responsibility for the bad play call, or the subpar game plan, or the lack of preparation or execution, and ultimately for the loss. You take the good with the bad, you try to maintain thick skin for your own personal sanity, and you continue to keep your head down and work your butt off to try to grind out as many wins as you can for the logo on your shirt. But I'm not willing to shoulder these losses for the logo on my shirt. I played by the rules, and our team won those games on the football field. Where is the article or press release for those forfeits explaining that a member of our Board of Trustees cost an athletic team victory? Who will shoulder the responsibility for those losses and inform the public on how those losses came to be? Swept under the rug, or just a lack of care about the program and the individuals that it affected? In closing, I don't believe that the act was done with any malice. Quite the opposite, actually. I just wish someone would have made a simple phone call to the athletic director's office to get a compliance ruling, or better, for some common sense to have kicked in. I feel like I was let down by the same people that I regularly defend in the public spectrum when people are attacking you for your decision-making, character, ethics, management, and personal views on how the college should be run, playing out in the letter to the editor section of our local paper. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Coach Thomas.
No problem.
his outrage is due to Mr. Malone's representing of student athletes, which caused the football team to forfeit 2 games, which is a violation of NJCAA rules. Robbing student athletes of hard-fought wins, and that's disturbing.
Are we in the public speaking yet, or are you just going to start talking? Or do you want to invite somebody else? He left, so he can't answer any of his questions.
He's looking for an apology from you, Terry.
Well, he's not going to get an apology, and if you just let the things flow, I will explain what the situation is and who referred those student athletes to me. It was the athletic department, the coaches. How do you think I got name after name after name after name of students who were in trouble and athletes to represent them?
Our athletic director looks pretty puzzled with that comment.
Well, I didn't
So
say it was.
I disbelieve that
Shut
comment
up.
right
You were
there.
just a second. Well,
I disbelieve that comment. It was unethical. It was inappropriate. It violates rules.
What?
You rob kids of hard-fought wins.
Why don't you
upset a coach?
wait, let's have a conversation, Gary, so you can understand.
Conflict of interest.
Why don't we have a conversation, and then I can have a conversation, and Dr. Nodi can have a conversation about this. Dr. Nodi, did any of you ask me how I happen to represent all of those athletes?
I was shocked that you did.
No, I didn't ask you that question. I said, did you ever ask me how they were referred to me, or how I got to be their attorney?
No.
All right, didn't think so. Did you, Gary?
So you
Wait a
represented
minute,
student
wait a minute.
athletes
Can you
against
answer
the
that
college
question?
that you're
Can you-
voted to protect.
Can you
have
answer-
a fiduciary responsibility to the Ford County taxpayers, okay? And you're representing students who are taking action against that college. You don't see that as a conflict of interest?
Well,
Did they hire you because they thought you're a trustee and therefore could peddle influence? Are you peddling influence? That you can change the rules of the college?
Would you just be quiet for a second while I explain? Dr. Nolte did no
It's
investigation.
an ethical violation, Terry.
Would you
And a
be
rules
quiet
violation.
and allow me
And it's
to
amazing to
explain
me
what happened?
that an
Or are you going to
attorney
be
doesn't know that.
Your normal egotistical bully self?
Really?
Yeah. All right, well, let me
Now,
explain.
okay, so you also represented
Would
an
you be
employee,
quiet?
of the college against the college for stealing, and you represented him. Is that the same thing? Did the athletic department refer them to you?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
I think it's best that we don't name names now.
No, we won't name names.
Well, tell me who that is, and I'll explain that to you too. Will you give me a chance to explain what happened, or do you care?
Go ahead.
All right, good. NJCAA also did not ask me any questions about how all of those players found their way into my office, all right? Neither did our athletic director. Nobody did at this college. Let me tell you that all of those athletes were referred by people in the athletic department.
Who
I'm
referred
not
you?
going to tell you that.
So it's mythical.
Do you want me to?
It's mythical.
Do you want me to cause the?
So you're saying the athletic department willingly sent students to you to violate NJCAA rules?
Well, I don't think they knew.
Absurd.
Wait a minute. First of all, yes, that is what happened. Second, I don't think.
Your
I
word.
think. Would you stop
Your word.
interrupting me, please?
That's your word.
Would you stop interrupting me, please? Okay. I don't think anybody at the athletic department, when they made those calls, knew that there was such a law. I don't think that Glenn Curbs, when he represented a softball player years ago when I was prosecuting within the city court,
Was he a board of director? Was he a trustee?
he's an attorney for the college.
That's his job.
Just a second.
He's not a fiduciary.
Would you just be
He's not a
quiet for
fiduciary.
a little bit and quit interrupting me, please? I don't think Glenn knew about that thing, or he wouldn't have done it. He's the most ethical attorney I know. He's been on the Government Ethics Committee for over 30 years. He's on the Disciplinary Committee now. So I am sure he didn't see there was a problem. I'm sure he didn't know about it. I did not know about it. I would think that would be the responsibility of the athletic directors and the presidents to tell the trustees what they can and cannot do. That was not done. But I can assure you that every one of those athletes was referred to me by someone in the athletic department, and when every one of them came into my office, I said I wanted to make sure that you know that my nephew is the athletic director and that I'm a trustee, and they said, yes, we already know that, that's why we're here. And I prosecuted many kids during the year. If the NJCAA wants to worry about rule violations, they should worry about trustees who are prosecutors that actually have the power to do something about a case. A defense attorney does not. Well, and the fact that that rule would even preclude Dr. Presley from giving aid to a sick kid shows you how absurd it is. It would preclude Kathy or Florence Jean or Dan from giving a kid any tutorial services, even though they have expertise in that area. That's how absurd it is. And if the only way that they can, the NJCAA, which is a pretty poor organization to begin with, could figure out how to punish the college for not doing what it was supposed to do, is to take away the wins from the coach. I mean,
Took a win away from the kids. That's who they took the wins from.
Well, it seemed to be the coach was the one that's complaining about it. But isn't that absurd to you? That somehow that's the only punishment that they can figure out, is to tell the kids that they didn't win 2 games that they did?
What's absurd, Terry, is a person that's supposed to be an attorney.
I am
Anybody that has had the most rudimentary training in standards of conduct know that you don't represent people that are taking action against this institution that you were voted to protect. And they're taking action against the college, which is you're supposed to be as a trustee to protect. This is held in trust. You have a fiduciary role here.
If you've got something to say, say it. If you don't, then be quiet. We're talking about these 2 football regulations for a rule that was so obscure, not even the athletic department people knew about. So don't put the blame on me. When I was asked by athletic department to actually do the work and help these kids, help them.
Help them?
Help them,
Take
yes.
action against the college.
No, help them get rid of their criminal cases that they were charged with.
Did you charge them a fee?
Well, sure.
There you go. That's why the NJCAA does that, because you charge them a fee. You're a board of trustee and you charge them a fee.
No, they would get after you, Harold, if you didn't charge them a fee, because then I would be showing favoritism to them. These are kids that were in need of help. Most of them were being kicked out on the street by the dorm policies. Kids were 1,000 miles from home or Brazil, and action had to be taken quickly in order to get the charges taken care of. So they wouldn't be kicked out of the dorm, and they wouldn't be kicked out of the street, and wouldn't be kicked out of the school. So that's why it was important to the athletic people that they have help, and they have it now. I had many calls when I was a prosecutor from the athletic department, for heaven's sakes, for a good word for a kid. You know, did I listen to them? Sure, I would listen to anybody. But there's, if the NJCAA cared about anything, they would do an investigation, but they didn't. So that's all I've got to say about it.
Remarkable. That's all I got to say is remarkable.
Well, the coach said that there were stacks and stacks of regulations. I don't see why anybody finds it amazing that an assistant coach or athletic director or a head coach would not know every single regulation. I don't know why you would think that would be so amazing, that they couldn't have recommended that they seek Terry as an attorney.
Well, Dan, it's a little bit more
There's
than
stacks-
that, because
there's-
you're looking
he just
at
told you there's
things of
stacks of
conflicts of
regulations.
interest. Okay?
When we signed on to run for this board, I had to sign a piece of paper and state that I had no conflicts of interest. I didn't have money here. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I feel bad for our football team for losing 2 games. And if none of us have apologized to them, I feel bad about that too. Because I think we owe them an apology for their loss of their games. It was wrong. And I apologize on behalf, I guess I can only apologize for myself because I have a colleague that said he's not going to apologize.
That's right, I'm not going to apologize.
I am apologizing on my behalf to our teams.
Kathy, when are you going to ask the coaches who asked me to represent them to apologize, since they obviously didn't know
Terry,
about the
I
rule?
signed the paper, you signed the paper.
And it didn't say a thing. I had no conflict of interest. I was asked to do something to help some poor kids, and I did it professionally, and I did it well. I did what I was asked to do. If anyone in the athletic department would have told me that you can't do that, I would have stopped it, just as I did when Glenn told me that there is a rule that they've discovered. It's been going on for years.
That's what's a rule.
That's why it's a rule. And it just blows my mind, Terry, that you don't feel anything apologetic to those kids. Whether you thought you were doing something right or wrong, it was still wrong, and it came out. And you still don't care the fact that they had forfeit games. Are you that calloused?
I am that disturbed about an organization that thinks that is a remedy to a solution, instead of making sure that everybody knows about their obscure rules. That's what I think. I mean, do you really think that Dr. Presley should be precluded from helping a kid who's sick because he happens to be a student athlete?
Is he representing that kid against a student, against the institution that you were voted in trust, to hold in trust? Does he have a fiduciary? It's a total different deal. And it blows my mind that you're drawing that analogy.
We're talking about my giving legal services in a criminal case.
I'm talking about conflicts of interest and standards of conduct, which you violated.
Which ones?
That you represented students against the college that you're voted in trust.
These student athletes?
Yes.
What do you mean?
They were
What?
protesting the dorm policies, which are college policies. And you represented them against the college.
No, I didn't, Gary. You are mistaken once again.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
When did I ever represent?
Were they kicked out of the dorms?
Yes.
For what?
What, did they get kicked out of the dorms?
Were they going to get kicked out of the dorms?
Well, that's what I was told.
For what?
I don't know.
You represented them?
I
Really? You don't know what you represented them
Wait a
for?
No, because I never.
Damn.
Wait a minute. You just always have to act like a fool for.
You laid out a really stupid comment there, Terry. I don't know what I was representing them for.
Fine.
Really?
Well, no. All right, look.
For drugs. They get kicked out for drugs, which is
Yes.
against school policy.
represented-
Underage kids.
Gary, I represent.
And you represented them against the college who set the policies.
Let me speak, all right?
Jesus.
So I can explain to you what my representation was.
You don't even know what you represented them for.
Mr. President, I think we should move on with the
I agree with
agenda.
you.
I know. I want to answer this insult that you have given me. I am never in this representation. I never represented any of the kids on anything but a Dodge City Municipal Court case, period. The results of those situations that they got themselves in was something to do with the college, which I never represented them in any way. The directors would tell me what their punishment was going to be, and they would tell me that they were going to be kicked out of the dorm, and perhaps they could avoid that if they could just get a good defense in their criminal case and make it go away. And most of the time I did that, and most of the time I prevented the college from throwing kids out in the street, right? That was a
the college
college decision. That was
from
not my-
violating.
That was their college
rules.
decision, not my decision, and I had nothing to do.
The NJCAA says you're wrong, robbed our kids of 2 wins because of your actions. Case closed. Okay, we're moving on. We have other visitors in the room today, and so I'd like to really recognize the men's golf team. So, Coach, would you like to speak?
So it seems like this has become kind of a yearly thing with Coach Robinson. He does such a great job with the kids and what they do as far as on the course and in the classroom. So I think it is important. Once again, this year, our men's golf team, this obviously for 2019, was named the Golf Coaches Association of America Academic National Champions this year. And so I wanted to take that opportunity to present the plaque to Coach Robinson in front of the board, and he also brought a number of the guys here with him. And rather than me or Coach Robinson introducing them, I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Jake Sutton from England, I'm a freshman. Tyler Warren from Texas, and I'm also a freshman.
I'm Evan Orr from Scotland, I'm also a freshman. I'm Joel Toledo from Brazil, I'm also a freshman.
I'm Ty Wilson from Wellington, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm David Hosek from Czech Republic, I'm a freshman.
Will Kulat, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Manu Poimandi from Thailand, I'm a sophomore.
So I think these guys obviously have done a great job in the classroom and will continue to. And on top of that, they were a top 12 finisher in the nation on the course as well. So I think that's why I really wanted to recognize them here tonight. So thank you guys.
And the girls' golf is doing well too.
Gentlemen, we're extremely proud of you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Great job, guys.
I'd like to also recognize that, Greg Groff was here, and then Wes Kitten from Foley Equipment. So thank you for attending. Okay. So we'll move on to the approval of minutes, and we have 5 sets. So I will take them in order or all as one, however you're prepared.
All of them.
Okay, motion to approve all as one.
I second.
And a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Completion of agenda. There's been some additions and some revisions. Give you a chance to look those over.
And I have another motions to make to the additions, Chairman.
Okay, and what would that be?
Well, I sent it to you, but you didn't put it on. I would move for the board to have a discussion item next month on whether or not we should continue the helicopter program. The board has never discussed or voted on that, whether we should continue the operation in Arizona. And it's a program that's put us $33 million in debt, and I think that the Ford County taxpayers want to know how we feel about it.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor of putting that on next month's agenda, say aye.
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 Motion failed.
And a second one, to put on the October agenda for discussion of whether to terminate the football program, as it would release over $900,000 to help open access for Ford County students to Dodge City Community College, thereby increasing the number of students in Ford County and saving money at the same time.
Is there a second?
I second it. I don't think there's any harm in discussing things, whether it's the helicopter program or the football program.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion fails.
That's all I have.
Okay. For those items, especially that second one, was a matter of strategic planning, not board action, in my opinion. Okay. So approval of agendas. We have a motion to approve the agendas as amended in your handout.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. So we approved the agenda. So now we'll move on to reports to the trustees. So trustee reports. So, Terry, I'll start with you.
I got this gave my.
Okay. Ms. Hampton?
I have several things I wanted to mention. I was so delighted with the group of women's basketball that came to my house for a barbecue. Andrea and Jane, I don't know who all worked on that, but thank you. We had a great evening, and I'll be ready to do that again. So thank you for setting that up. Also, I was at Senior Day, and I found that to be one of the most exciting and positive things that I've ever been to on this campus. And the fun part was hearing the happy chatter among all the students who didn't know each other before from different and they were happy and positive and excited, and I think it was one of the best moves we've made. So thank you to everybody who worked on that also. I want to make a comment about the math boot camp. I thought that was certainly a good, positive move to get help for some of the people that might have needed it later, but we avoided a problem later by the math boot camp. And thank you to all the professors who had a part in that. And I've already asked Jane several questions about it, and I'm really impressed that that was a successful move, and hope we can continue with that kind of positive
Thank you very much.
help for students. Again, as we've mentioned several times, I so appreciate the written reports, because we used to have oral reports that were not necessarily that informative and became very political. So I much prefer to read and assimilate the reports as we're getting them now. And finally, really appreciated the discussions we had with Joel Bauman on strategic planning. I worked on the mission statement that we have now several years ago with Michael Aher, and it was an interesting experience and a hard-won statement, because we worked hard to say the right things. I feel like we did. I still like what it says, and I believe that we were very perceptive in our thinking for the future. So I just want to say that I appreciated another chance to go through that. So thank you for bringing Mr. Bauman in.
Maya?
I don't have a report.
Okay. Dr. Presley?
I don't have no report. I think Kathy's got a lot to talk about.
He's been reading my notes. I went
scared
to...
by legal pets.
This is my size legal pet. I went to the KACCT Trustees Conference, and it was phenomenal, as usual. We had a lot of discussion about the census that will be taken for 2020 and the importance of everyone filling it out. And they're not interested in legal or not legal, they're interested in head count, because that's where we get our finances from the government. It helps pay for Head Start, it helps pay for a lot of things here in the college. It dictates what Ford County gets from our federal government. So 10 questions, and that's all. And for instance, I have a granddaughter that is going to school in Hayes. She won't be counted for Dodge City. Tommy won't get to count her for Dodge. She's going to be counted at Hayes campus. So it's so important that we get all of our students head count, because that's going to help with our finances here. That's how important it is. And they have opening positions. If anybody needs a little part-time job for the next year, they want anybody interested to give them a call. And you can call me and I can give you some of the information I had. But Joyce Warshaw is one of the co-chairs that is helping with the governor's committee on this. So I'm very proud that we are represented by Joyce on that. We have Manufacturers Day coming up that we'll hear about, and that's very, very exciting. And our workforce growth is really headed in the right direction. And I'm proud of all the people that have been working on it and the hard time and effort that you've been putting in. So that's my report. How did you do?
Great.
Okay.
Kathy, is there any way that you can get the KACCT to correspond or let their other trustees know what's going on? Because we don't get any minutes, we don't get agendas, we don't get
I
much of
just
anything.
sent
I know I
to
couldn't
you.
open that, but
Okay.
I mean, they
But-
just, as not, and not
Yeah.
you doing it, why doesn't the organization do it?
Well, there is a CCT book, and then when I go to the meetings, I try to send you guys out as much as all of that, but like it's 158 pages that I just had sent to you.
Like I say, I
Of the
couldn't
whole,
open
the
it
whole
for
meeting,
some
okay.
reason, but,
Well, then, maybe
But I mean, they,
Carly can.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, I don't think it should be up to you. I think it should be up to the organization, and they don't seem to be interested in providing.
Well, I think it is up to me. I'm your representative and your delegate, and I think that if I go to a meeting, I should bring back some
Well,
stuff for you.
yeah, but
But
I'd
and
just like to have more information.
I think if you call and ask to be put on their mailing list, they
I
might do
have.
that.
They won't do it. I don't know why. That's what I was kind of asking. Why? All they have to do is add another email address for every trustee in the city.
No, well, we have a brand new director, so,
Good director.
and she's very awesome.
Okay. All right, Dan?
I'd like to apologize to the public and to the people in the room for the behavior of board members, especially the chair, for rudeness and overbearing veracity in that last exchange we had at the beginning. That is not how board members are supposed to behave. I don't think it was proper. I think it was rude and overbearing, and I hope it doesn't happen again. I apologize to all of you in the room and to the public who's watching also that you had to see that.
Dan, I'm really astonished that's coming from you, because another way the board member's not supposed to act is go out and talk to the community about and falsely representing information that you do in your so-called editorials.
And
that is misleading, and you know it.
That's another, see, all you're doing is just bullying again.
Bullying?
another
That's
board
bullying. That's
member.
pointing out a fact,
No, it's
Dan.
not a fact.
So you want to mislead the voters?
No, I don't have to mislead the voters. But
Well, you do it.
No, I don't. I tell the voters the truth, and they want to hear the truth.
That's the truth?
And you do not want them to hear it. You actually have a meeting before the meeting on the same agenda, so that these folks are excluded from the meeting. You had a meeting yesterday. Just a minute. Let me finish.
That's our
You ought to allow somebody to finish before you interrupt. Could you do that tonight? Could you do that tonight?
Go ahead.
Could you let me finish?
Go ahead.
You had a meeting yesterday on this agenda. These folks were not able to attend, although they may have been invited. The public was not able to attend, although they may have been invited. Two trustees were not in attendance, even though they may have been invited. Why would you meet the same agenda 2 days in a row? Is there not a way that we could have the discussion that you had yesterday in this meeting tonight? Why is the public excluded from what you call a work session, which is not a work session at all? It's over this agenda tonight. And everything that was done yesterday in that meeting, because it's the exact same agenda, should be done tonight in this meeting, in front of the cameras, in front of the public. Yet you have a meeting that is, I believe, it may not be a technical violation of the open meetings law, but it certainly flies in the face of the intent of the open meetings law when you have a meeting before the meeting on the exact same agenda, the exact agenda.
If you be there, you'd realize that's not what happened.
You had a meeting on a different agenda, you published the agenda.
We had the meeting, but we discussed like this QM. I wanted to know what that was.
And why can't we discuss it tonight, Kathy?
Because
we'd be here till midnight.
And what did you sign up for? Did you sign up to discuss the business of this?
Go to a meeting.
Did you sign up to discuss the business of this organization?
Listen,
That's what I did.
work sessions
And if
were
you don't
put
have
in
enough
before
time,
I was
you shouldn't
even
be
a
on the
trustee. And they were done so, and I believe, Terry, I think it was by your suggestion, if I was informed correctly, that we have work sessions prior to the meeting so that trustees can get additional information so that when they come to this meeting, they're as well informed as they can be so they can take action. So they can get additional information that they might not, because when you come here, you should be prepared to take action. And so we have a work session, which is open to the public. Staff is there. It is advertised. It is open. Anybody can attend. You and Terry refused to come. You never been. So how do you know what happens? You refuse to educate yourself on the issues of the college. You refuse to. Because you refuse to come.
Pardon. I'm better prepared for these meetings than anyone in this room.
Really?
And you know it.
Well, you falsely represent the facts routinely, so apparently you're not that well
In fact, I don't. In fact, I do tell the public what's going on here, though, and the comments I get back are not ones that you're delivering now. They thank me for being able to find out what's happening up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just.
I will have to correct you. What I thought was a good idea was not a work session the day before the meeting, but was things that we've talked about when we interview presidents about why is it that the board can't have the information that we are going to discuss at the regular meeting. Why can't we have it 2 weeks in advance so that if we do have questions that we can ask those questions? Somehow that got turned into a lunch meeting, which seems to be of very little value to me.
Sorry, I disagree totally. It was your idea.
Well,
Trustee Malone.
I
took that was your idea. I can sit here and listen to all this, but it was your idea, sir.
I just explained it. You just didn't understand the idea. Why isn't
Everybody misunderstands you, Terry.
Why can't we have the information that the board needs to manage and operate this college at least 2 weeks in advance of the meeting, since it's never a surprise that we're going to have a regular meeting?
Some of it isn't that current 2 weeks before.
Well,
For instance, Dr. Fergie's information.
Well, I can see that there might be emergency situations, but that's something that you and I complained about back in the early 90s, Celestine, is surprises. That's all we ever get here is surprises.
That's when we have a work session. So you're not surprised.
Well, I'd say it would just be helpful to have the information 2 weeks in advance so we would know and could look at it. Some of us work and we don't have time over the weekend to look at the information.
But sir, what we do at those work sessions is everybody explains what's going on. If there's more, if it needs to go in depth, we explain what's going on.
Well,
that's why it's most colleges and universities have a work session before they have the meeting. I've been doing this for 40 years and I've always been to a work session.
Well,
maybe that's something we don't need to have, but it sure does help this group.
Well, I say it doesn't help me, and I think that it would be more helpful if we included the public into our discussions.
They're invited.
They're invited.
I know they're invited. Everybody has things to do, and not everybody signed up to attend board meetings, but so I think it would be better if they could see it on TV and stuff like that.
You know, and if it's so important, why? Some of you have been on the board a long time. Why did we just start this recently? Why did you just start these work sessions type, if you want to call them a work session, on the agenda? How come you haven't been doing them for years?
We have, Dan.
Years.
They were doing it before I got on the board.
We weren't doing it when I first got on the board.
Yes, they were.
No, we
They were.
You weren't there.
Dan, you came to one and you told me you'd never come back again.
Why?
You said they were worthless.
No,
Yes,
that
you
is not
did.
what
You
I
said
said.
exactly
I said
that.
I
You
was
said they're
not,
worthless.
no. I said I was not going to come back to an extra meeting a month to get bullied by that person, because
That's
once
not
a
what you
once a
said.
month is enough of that behavior right there.
No.
Once
Oh,
a
my
month
God.
is enough.
Actually, Trustee Malone, that's why we started having them. It was when I first got here and
Well,
you asked
somebody
me.
misinterpreted what I thought was a good idea. I don't think this is a good idea.
To have a work session?
What can we do to
No, I
improve it?
think it's a good idea. What I mean is for the college to be able to give its board the information the board needs, and all the information the board needs, at least 2 weeks in advance of when it's going to be discussed.
Is there a moratorium for 2 weeks in on further requests, additions, or changes, or anything otherwise? Because otherwise, it's always evolving, and we're going to be back here in 10 years having the same discussion about, well, we get our reports, but now we got all this new stuff, and how do we fix this? And it's back and forth. What I'm suggesting is, I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect solution. So if we have a better way to gain whatever information we can in whatever timely fashion, let's present those so that we can offer some constructive efforts to try to fix it for all of us.
Well, I have a lot of, issues, Jeremy, about how we conduct business or don't. I just say I don't think we have nearly enough information as a board to make board decisions. And I think that would be helpful, and maybe we could work to a better solution.
Well, let's work on those. So what would be some examples of those, Terry?
Excuse me?
What would be some examples of those so we can start working on them?
Well, I don't know, let's just take something about,
Well, no, I mean, let's work through it. That's what we're here for. And that's what we're investing our time. We've all been elected to invest our time tonight. So let's work through it. Let's start at the top
well,
of
it's
the list.
not
and
on
work
the
down.
agenda, but let's just
We're
take-
way off the agenda tonight anyway, so.
Let's just say that we were going to discuss the helicopter program, all right? Normally, we don't get any information about that until we get here, right? So that's not good, in my opinion. I think, it's good to have all the information. I ask for a lot of information that I don't get, even if I ask for it. So it's difficult to discuss anything. So that was, I go to a lot of the national meetings. That's what they recommend but they spend more time than we do. And I'm willing to spend that time as long as it's something that we're doing is constructive and can build toward a better meeting.
But Trustee Malone, let me say one thing. I get a lot of requests from you, and please start sending those requests, because it's policy. Please start sending those requests through our chairman.
Well, I do. They just get it. Both of you ignore it.
No, I get requests, just like you called Alan Baskin today.
I didn't call Alan Baskin.
Will you send in a request for information on the helicopter?
The letter, yeah.
Yeah, well, you should have gone through. I mean, seriously, in all sincerity, that's part of communication. Is I would prefer everything go through him. That's the way we all communicate.
Well, I haven't been able to get that information by a public records request without it costing me $300. So I just thought maybe Mr. Baskins, who's been paid over $500,000, would provide that information to the board, because we haven't been provided by the president of the board or anyone else as to how much the debt is. So I thought I'd go directly to the source, and maybe he wouldn't charge me $300 to find out how much the county taxpayers are indebted to the VA. That's all I wanted.
But honestly, we don't know what the debt number is.
No, they told me that I could get it, but it would just cost me $300 to get it. That was what I told in a public records request. You can have that number anytime you want it, as long as you're willing to pay $300 for it. I find that insulting. I find it incomprehensible. So that's why I asked Mr. Baskin, maybe he would give it to me, since he's making a lot of money off of this project. Maybe he would just give it to me, so I don't have to go through the red tape where I can't get it.
Okay. Policy 228 states that all requests for information has to pass through the board chair, which some trustees violate, and they don't do that. And so when you guys request information, it has to pass through me. Now, Terry, what you do is you sit there and request for information over and over, and it's the information that's already been presented to the whole board. It's just regurgitating the same information that's already been presented. Yes, it has. So I'm the gatekeeper because you have, what you do is you beleaguer staff and presidents with just incessant requests for the same redundant information. And you've done it for every president that you've been serving for your 20 years as a trustee. Okay? And then that stops. It stops here. We do not do that. Okay? When I look at the request for information, I said, has the trustees already been presented that information? And if I say yes, they have, then that request is denied. And you've been given the information on the alleged debt, but you guys continually falsely represent it. You're wrong. Every time you say the amount, 33 million, you're wrong. And you keep saying it.
Helicopter program.
And we're not doing it.
Let me ask you a direct question then. What is the debt?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Oh,
besides that,
how can you say? How can you say he's wrong if you don't know? Maybe
you two have both been told what the numbers and the issues are. But that's all in executive session. But you falsely represent it to the public. So why? Why do you continue to want to do damage to the college? Well, by falsely putting out information.
Wait a minute. You said
the motive is to do as much damage to the college as possible.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Gary. That's
you're right.
Exactly
that's what
why
you do.
Dan and I have run for this board is just to do as much damage. Now,
Getting back on, no. You're done. We're moving on. We're moving on.
No, we're not going to move on until you answer my question. Because have you ever given me a figure about how much the debt is that we owe to the VA?
The entire board was told right from the get-go what the alleged amount was.
$33 million.
No, wrong.
Well, that's what we were told, but we never.
No, you weren't told that.
Yes, we were.
No, you weren't.
August 3rd of 2018, in a public meeting, and the other board meeting.
And the person who brought that up misspoke.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were never told that.
Yes, you were, because we went on that same meeting to explain why the number was different, because there were some duplications of alleged fines.
Well, I do believe Mr. Baskins.
And so there was a full explanation of why that was different, and it explained to you, and you still falsely represented.
$33 million, but he was working on getting it down. So I think the public has the right to know whether or not it's been reduced or increased.
Well, there should be a recording of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I can get it from Mr. Baskins, then I'll take it.
Okay. So, done with reports to the board. Do you have a report?
Somewhere here. I handed y'all, each one of the trustees, just wanted you to be aware, there's a cold storage unit, and all the information is on there for y'all to look at. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. And the city is bringing that forth. Here's the city worksheet that we've got, and it was from Joanne Knight. And it's going to really be a great opportunity for the city, the college, the USD, and the county. And they're bringing workers in here, and they're doing a cold storage unit. And you'll see all the information on there. So that's just for y'all, FYI, so y'all can have that. Great meeting 2 weeks ago with Clark Coco, and we met with Snap-on, we met with Greenlee and Emerson Electric. We also met with Train, and so these are companies that are looking at and are very interested in coming in and being part of this college. And so with that is obviously monies, and so our consultant's doing an absolutely wonderful job. He's in Washington D.C. this week talking to groups, and so but he'll be back, and so we're excited about the opportunities for growth in our workforce. Workforce is kind of one of those things that's near and dear to my heart. It really is. My father was a DE teacher and then a dean of workforce. My wife was a dean of workforce. And so there's really opportunity. Matter of fact, Clark Coco said if he was 5 years younger, he probably would have gone ahead and taken the job and done a great job with it, because he's really knows what he's doing. And he has a lot of different contacts, as you probably all know. Dan and I attended the meeting. We also had Ryan Winters was there also to talk to us about the ag programs and things like that. So it's just it's a win-win for us, and I'm really excited. Lots of good things happening. I'll let Andrea talk about Senior Day. Just to let you know, we gave everybody that was there, most of them were Dodge City kids, all seniors. We gave $500 scholarships, which they can add to if they need to. These are students, and they were so excited about the $500 scholarship. That's $250 per semester, which they can use for their schooling. So it worked out really, really well. I'll let Andrea tell the details and stuff. We're also, I guess you're going to talk about that and some other things, right? Good. Don't want to steal your thunder. So just some really, really good things are going on. Do what now? What do you want? Glenn, I'm sorry. But there's just some great things happening. We're speaking of, and I'll let Adam tell that. There's so much going on. We have a helicopter landing next Friday.
12:30.
They'll have our decals on those helicopters. And these students are doing this because they need flight time. And so I'm excited about they're able to get the flight time in to fly here.
Might we see this again?
Do what now?
Might we see this again for the flight time we need? That would be a wonderful PR thing for the community.
Oh, it is. It is. It is. Very much. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So, Jacob.
Thank you, Board of Trustees, Chairman Harshberger. I appreciate the opportunity to come kind of give a report on one of the things that's going on and in our athletic department. I apologize, some of it's pretty small writing on a couple of them. I got over here without enough copies and had to use a copier over here and couldn't operate it right. But yeah, exactly. So. One of the things that I've stressed with our coaches is community engagement and community service. And I felt like it was important to come here tonight to talk about it because our coaches have really taken it and run with it this year. And I'm really proud of what they have done so far. And so I kind of put together a report for you guys that you can see all the events that we've been involved in and then some of the feedback that we've gotten as well. Like I said, I knew with this list it wouldn't be everything, and sure enough, as I'm on my way over here, I got a text that said, hey, you left something off, and so I'll go through a little bit. Football's probably been the most active, and it's a little bit easier, obviously, when you have double the number of student athletes that anybody else does. But they've really been out in the community a lot. Obviously, Dodge City Days Parade, I think anybody that saw that they were not just there, they were engaged when they were there. In addition to that, they helped with the Dodge City Days, the Kids Fest, as well as the Teen Dance, set up, tear down, all of that stuff. And then they've been going, obviously the first day of school, they went to a welcome back grade school kids. And then they've been doing what they call High Five Fridays. They've been going out to grade schools on Fridays and just greeting the kids as they go in. And if you look, I attached a couple of emails on the second page there. I attached a couple of emails, and the second one was specifically from a parent that had her children had seen the football players and talked about how appreciative she was. Women's basketball team, they do the YMCA. They have an after-school program. They do it once a week. They're there every week, once a week. And in addition to that, they helped with the International Festival. And I, by no means, want to take all the credit for the International Festival because it was not just the athletes involved in it. A lot of our International Club, Jorge was there. Josue Gomez from our admissions was there. We had a number, Jane was there. Yes, we had a number of representatives, and Andrea did a great job of making sure that we were represented well there. But a lot of our teams took that opportunity to be involved, to be there and be involved with that. Both men's and women's basketball, obviously. The volleyball team parade, once again, International Festival. They've also been going to Beeson Elementary. That's been a big thing for them. They've been going to Beeson Elementary. They have a connection there, so they've been going there to play with the kids, read with the kids, things like that. The baseball did one that actually I got some really good feedback just in a phone call. if you know, the Perfect Fit Foundation had their fundraiser last weekend, the Gin and Jazz, and we had about 12 baseball players that went and actually served at that, served meals and stuff at that, and I had a couple of phone calls that talked about how impressed they were with the kids. And then men's and women's soccer, and this is where I missed one, and I knew they would. They helped with Kids Fest. They also last weekend National Beef had an employee family day, and our soccer teams went out and helped with that employee family day with National Beef. So I thought that was a big thing. Our rodeo team's been out everywhere as well. They've been, if you've seen about any event, if you've seen them, they've had a hay bale with a cow head on it and roping and showing kids how to rope and everything. International Festival, the rodeo, all kinds of different things. The men's and women's golf teams have not done theirs yet. However, Special Olympics is coming up. They're going to be involved in that, as well as track and cross country. And then the Spirit Squad was with Dodge City Days as well. We've also had a number already commit to helping with the foundation auction, which I think is going to be a wonderful thing that helps with the school. And another one that has kind of hit close to home for some of them, you guys may or may not know, we have a nursing faculty, Nikki Debnam, that actually has been diagnosed with cancer, and her daughter at the same time has been diagnosed with cancer. And our football team has really, really taken to that, as well as some of the rest of our athletic department. And tomorrow, Nikki and Alexa, her daughter, are both coming in, and they're going to present them with autographed balls. And then they have done a large amount of fundraising, and they're going to donate $500 to their foundation to help with their care. In addition to that, some other programs have done some fundraising, and they're going to give to it as well. In total, I think the athletic department, through fundraised money, not through any budget money, through fundraised money, is going to give about a total of $1,000 to them, to that family, for help. So I'm pretty proud of our programs for stepping up and being a part of that. And the biggest thing I've heard from all of them is, it's one of our own. We want to take care of our own. This is important to us. So just wanted to let you guys know kind of what's going on.
But the community has reached out, for example, the Nazarene Church in Bill Turley,
yes,
with feeding the athletes, with all the football players, and you've had a lot of that with.
And I think it's important for me to thank all the people who have taken on the burden of feeding those teams. I shouldn't say burden. I know you've all enjoyed it. The ones that have done it have all enjoyed it. But I know a number of you sitting at this table have done some of that as an occasional meal. And so I think that's I appreciate what you guys have done, and appreciate you taking an interest in our student athletes, because it means a lot to them as well.
Well, these kids come from all over the world, as you can see with our golf team. And it's nice when families will take in these players and help them. Because, it's the old story is, I remember many years ago when I had a football player, and this big guy, big guy. And it was about 2 weeks into school, and he came in my office, and he started crying. I said, what's wrong? He ended up playing for NFL and everything. But I said, what's wrong? And he said, well, I miss my mama. I'm from Georgia, and I miss my mom. These guys, it really hits home. And so thank y'all for the community for taking care of our students. It's very, very important.
Jake, Night to Shine, that's another big one.
It is. It's a second semester. I kind of talked about just this semester, but our athletes definitely, the Night to Shine is something that our men's golf team, our women's basketball team, volleyball team, soccer, they've all kind of taken to Night to Shine. That's been a big one that our athletes, I think our athletes may enjoy it as much as what everybody else does that night, because they all seem to be nervous going into it, but at the same time they get excited once they get there and are a part of it. So,
like Dr. Nolte said, just from the golf team here, just from the reaches around the world that these athletes come to us from, and it's really that's really a big part of a college experience, as interaction with other students, and the cultural experience you have. That's a large part of college there. But really, you guys have some great things to bring up here in a little bit. But, I really want to applaud the athletic department for the outreach that they're doing in the community. But that's all part of the college reenacting, re-engaging with the community. I really, really want to give you all kudos for what you're doing. Re-engaging the community. We're going to see some things where industry is reaching out to us and wanting us to do things. The energy here is growing, and it's just truly amazing. And I want to give you, athletic department, and the rest of you, just my hat's off and kudos for what is going on and what we're on the verge of getting done here. So thank you, and please pass that on to your staff, your coaches. That just, when I see these tweets from Coach Kuhn of what's going on there, it's a thrill.
One other thing that you guys all got a little flyer at your spot tonight. Our homecoming game, we have partnered with a number of people, the Fort County Suicide Prevention Coalition, as well as the young professionals of Dodge City, our nursing department, obviously athletics, to put on a homecoming tailgate that is going to be basically, we're calling it homecoming for mental health. And we're really trying to get people involved. We've had some people really step up. Albert from Central Station is going to come and do tailgate. He is going to grill for that. Obviously free of charge. Dylan's has stepped up and donated a large amount of food. Kirby Meat has stepped up and donated. We've just had a lot of people step up and be a part of it because they think it's important, and we feel like we have a good platform to work from, especially with that game. And so that's something that's really been fun to be involved with. We've been meeting about once a week with some people from Compass, our nursing department, the chamber, economic development, young professionals, Sheriff Carr, a number of people, and we're really excited about that event coming up on October 12th. And I want to thank Dr. Forgy. He and I talked, and we're allowing $1 of each admission to go towards the Fort County Suicide Prevention Coalition. So,
and USD is helping out also, right? Is that when USD is coming on, or is that a different?
That's a different one.
Okay,
that's a different one. That's a different partnership we've got going.
Well, we had Comanche, the drill
Comanche
team.
drill team, yep.
For halftime.
We continue to try to involve USD
YMCA this Saturday.
Oh yeah, we've got the YMCA coming to football. We're just, yeah. So we've got a lot of things going on. We've really, we understand that this is it's important, that the community is important, and to get them involved is important. And I've really been stressing to my coaches that that's important, and this year they've really bought in, and I'm very impressed and very proud of what they've done.
I appreciated the picture of because we hosted the boys basketball team,
yes.
and they all signed a picture and everything, and it was like I had won something marvelous. I was just thankful none of them got hurt on the trampoline. That was so scary.
Doing flips.
Yeah, they did flips. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. Andrea, I'll call on you next.
Or is Adam or
Nope, we're coming to you next since we're in this theme.
Okay.
We got a thing going here.
Good evening. I have some updates and some information that I think you'll be excited to hear. I know Lance spoke on Senior Day yesterday at the work session. I was meeting with the company we were using for digital marketing, so I was somewhere else. So Senior Day. My team thought that we needed to have an event like Senior Day. This is something that hadn't been done about 15, 17 years, I believe. We did have 126 people register. On the day of, we had about 76 arrive. I think we had a little bit more, some sort of left, not quite sure why. But we had them from several different area schools, and then even a couple from Oklahoma. So we were really thrilled about that. This event could not have happened without everybody in this room. It took a lot of manpower and a lot of coordination, a lot of helping and supporting each other. So I want to give a couple shouts out to all the faculty and staff. Maintenance. Melvin stepped in Thursday morning helping us, and I don't know, but maintenance needs to be applauded for all what they do around campus. So I really thank them. Financial aid, student services, and Dr. Forgy worked very hard. I started pushing this, and we started this event planning last February or March. I started pushing back in the spring to have scholarship information available on senior day. We felt that that was very important for students to leave with scholarship information in their hands. And so I appreciate the meetings, the collaboration of all of us working together to get that information ready. Then it was sprung on us that we were able to award these potential students a scholarship. That was huge. We had several surveys, and they were like, we're coming here now that we got a scholarship. So it really did leave a great impact. The counselors were thrilled with the day. They were excited for the students, and they were like, man, I wish the ones that had signed up that couldn't come could have made it, because I think that the counselors saw that it was beneficial as well. I did leave at your spot a copy of 8 different surveys. We had a lot of positive comments. I want to share with you that the students expressed that they felt the faculty and the staff were very warm and welcoming and really engaged with them. I do have a funny couple comments. They were like they wanted something other than water to drink. They wanted more food. Now, I want you to know we put food in the backpack. They had breakfast, they had lunch, they had snow cones, popcorn, and cotton candy in the afternoon, but, you know, we can never have enough food. They also wanted more activities. They want to engage with our coaches, and they want to get more of the campus, so it was great. Housing, I think they had a room decorating contest, so I think that went over really well. They had activities at residence life as well. So my job for the day was to host and accommodate the counselors. So that was my job. So we started the morning and we walked over and we visited with financial aid, and we visited with TJ Ackerman, the outreach coordinator. And they asked questions, and it was a very good time of engaging. I then took them on a campus tour. They met all of our resources. They went through the SARC and stopped, and we visited. They picked up information. We went down to Chloe. We went over to up to Trio with Dr. Gregory. And then we had a lovely lunch at Prime on the 9. And who doesn't like going there for lunch? So I invited Dr. Jane, who shared information about academics and about clubs and organizations. Dr. Nolte attended as well. I also invited Gayla and Benny from our counseling department. I felt that a nice private lunch and then be able to talk about what we offer for our students and the direction that they're going was very important. We had the number of counselors that attended. We had 2 from Dodge City High School. The alternative counselor in town from USD 443, he attended as well, and he's new. We had the counselor from Mineola and the counselor from Fowler. And then Gear Up is a program connected to our student support services. So she came and brought some students as well. So it was a nice first year, I felt, of entertaining the counselors. They, in the afternoon, so we went to lunch. Our students and staff and faculty, they had lunch. I had Jimmy John's for them. They had a box lunch. After that, we then moved over to the Learning Resource Center, and we had we called it a meet and greet. Faculty, staff, our resources, financial aid, foundation, they were all in the Learning Resource Center, and they were able to meet, visit, talk to different faculty to figure out what path they want to do, and this is what I want to do, where can I go, what can I do with it. I felt that that was very beneficial, and that's when we awarded the scholarships, and they were super excited that I saw a bunch of them go over to where the scholarship information was. We also, in the afternoon, had snow cone popcorn and cotton candy, like I said, and that was a big hit. I even think for our faculty and staff, they enjoyed it, an afternoon treat. I received emails following the day from the counselors. They were really excited that we
reinvented this day, and they love the information that they took away. I've had the counselor from Mineola reach out, and I shared it with Dr. Jane and some other key people. They want our staff to come into their schools and talk to their students.
And we followed up immediately.
Yes, you did. So I think that's the key from this day is us building and getting our faculty and staff, I don't care who it is, over to these schools, getting in there and engaging with the students. Overall, I feel like it was a great day. My team this morning, we debriefed about our thoughts of the event. On October 8th in the afternoon, we're going to meet with the entire campus is available to come in, and we'll just talk about concerns, thoughts, how it went, what we need to change, what we should do different. Does anybody have any questions about the senior day?
I have another comment.
Yes.
I was impressed with the relationship that I saw with a lot of the students who weren't all from Dodge City visiting with professors. And it was a congenial, open, very...
It was great. I know I saw Rodney Chisholm. He had a crowd of people with the band. I mean, every department had a group of kids around them at all times. So that's what it's about, is making that
I
connection.
think Rodney signed up 16
Yeah.
for the band.
Which is great. Any other comments or thoughts from Senior Day? Dan?
Well, I have a thought on it. When are scholarships due, applications due in here in the spring?
I think it's February 28th.
Yes.
Is it February? So before this, before the pushing of the scholarship, we wouldn't get them out, I think, until after Christmas. Is that correct? Does anybody know?
That sounds about right.
Yes. So I really felt it was important, Dan, to get the information to them.
I think so too.
You know, and like I said, we've been working since spring, and Dr. Forgey and President Nolte pushed, and they helped get this done. So
Well, I want to thank you for it, and I think it's a great day, and I appreciate all your efforts on it. I was just wondering if, a lot of kids don't start thinking about college until spring. And I was just wondering if it would behoove us to have another such event in the spring. I know that it was a tremendous amount of work, but when kids start thinking about college in the spring, I'm just wondering if we wouldn't get 2 or 3 times that many kids on campus.
And that is a great point. It was suggested to me by a couple of faculty that we host it again in the spring. So I think we'll talk next week on October 8th to the rest of the group and get their thoughts. But I do agree, because right now kids are thinking they're going 4-year, and then when reality sets in after Christmas, they see the numbers and how much it's going to cost, and then it's like, whoa, wait, maybe we need to pump the brakes here.
Well,
So
if we could get more of them on campus, they'd see what we have to offer.
exactly.
So.
You're exactly right. Okay. So, Walmart partnerships. So this is super exciting. This has been the highlight of my week. I've been trying to figure out how to get in with Walmart for donations and just to make a partnership of some sort. So Jenny from Walmart, that's what I call her, she's my connection, emailed me and said, or emailed me, hey, can we meet? I would like to just meet and talk about how we can get people to work at Walmart. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I know to give the information to Chloe, but I thought I'm going to use this as my in to figure out how we can get donations, how we can partner, and go from there. So 5 minutes in, she's like, I said, well, I know we can give you some workers. I know several people work at Walmart from us. And she goes, no, I really want to figure out how we can really partnership. And I'm sitting there going, okay. So she proceeds to say, have you ever thought about Walmart donating a refrigerator for every room at the residence hall? Well, that is a great idea, and yes, I did just now. So I was super excited that she said that. I mean, how great would that be for our kids that are coming from out of state who struggle financially to know they don't have to worry about a refrigerator? So we're working right now, but then to make it even more exciting, she was like, well, we want to work with your diesel program, and we want to have a partnership where maybe they go through your school but work with us, and then they can travel, and then there's $1 a day program. And so perfect, I'll pass this along. So it was I left, I was just super excited because I'm thinking, I did it, we finally got into the door. So she's already sent me a donation form. I did ask, and I sent information about them being a $5,000 donor for the foundation auction. So I'm still waiting to hear from that. But I'm just excited with the partnership from Walmart, and I think that's going to really make a buzz. She goes, Andrea, we can do big press releases and have pictures, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what we need. So that's been the highlight of my week is finally getting in and working with Walmart. So I'll stay tuned, I'll let you know. And for those on campus, we can go in monthly and request $250 for donations, supplies, different things. I didn't know that. Did anybody know that? So we'll need to work together because I don't think we can all submit something every month. But I didn't know that. So that's great, $250 donations of water or whatever you need for your event. So I'm pretty excited about that. Any questions about that? Okay. When we're talking about partnerships, like Jake mentioned, the homecoming with the Ford County Suicide Coalition, that's huge. And that was my point today. Like, we need to do a radio spot. We need to go to Rockingham Media and have both people. Jake is athletics, and then somebody, I think Michelle Haley, she's going to represent the Suicide Coalition. But these partnerships are really starting to get excited, and you just never know when the next one's going to happen. I think Clark says that. Manufacturing Day. Manufacturing Day, this is going to be the second year that they've done this. Last year, Ryan Osmus put this on, so I didn't have anything to do with this. So I've been working with USD 443 and Housing Economic Development. Yes, Economic Development. So the itinerary, and I believe Carla sent this to you, we are going to have, there's approximately 150 students from Dodge City High School that are interested in the manufacturing field. They travel to about 3 or 4 different businesses and industries in town. Our stop will be lunch and then a tour of our tech facility, ag, welding, and our diesel equipment. So they will arrive on campus around 11 o'clock. They will have a lunch. We'll have a couple speakers. We'll have President Nolte. We're going to have TJ Ackerman talk a little bit about the CTE. And there might be a couple guest speakers from the business world that come into town. I'll find that out next week. From then, they will herd out and go on a campus tour with admissions. Louis Mize is going to be the MC. And then you might as well stay because at 12:30 we're going to have 2 of the Quantum helicopters land right in front of the Student Activity Center. And they will be there from about 12:30 to 7 p.m. I've been working with Dr. John via email. So we will be there. I have invited Arrowhead West, Sun Porch. We're going to have kids from the YMCA, the CDC. I've sent out invitations to different people that I know in the city connections, the county. So I'm just inviting them. Adam said, I want a lot of people here, so I'm trying to find people that will be here. I believe President Nolte will speak, Dr. John will speak, and Neil Jones of Quantum Helicopter will speak as well. They will have an opportunity to meet the pilots, to sit in the helicopter. I talked to Taylor from Student Activities. She's going to come over, bring some games, have the conch mannequin so that people can take pictures. So that is what that day is about as well. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, last thing. I talked to you about yesterday. I was visiting with Emily from Gardner Design about digital marketing. We are moving forward and we are going to come up with a plan, bring admissions in, work with academics on how do we need to proceed with digital marketing. So this is all new to me as well, but I'm really excited because I think this is going to help get people to our website, and this is going to help for some more engagement between admissions and potential students. Any questions? I think I'm done.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot.
But it's a lot.
And after she got so excited about Walmart, then I get a call from Greg Goff telling me they're talking to different businesses and industry. They said it's amazing how many out there are so positive and want to help us. Rotomix being one, Cargill being one, Servitech being one, all these different businesses. And I think every time he got more and more and more excited about they're interested in working with us and helping us with business and industry. So there's a lot of buzz out there. People are very interested in partnering with us as far as workforce. And matter of fact, he asked me when Clark was coming back in town, and Clark's coming back on Monday. So he'll be meeting all these different businesses and things. And so there's just a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of synergy in the world and a lot of synergy at the college as well as the USD. So, and the USD has been matter of fact, the USD, the superintendent was there along with Carrie Baker and others to watch what happened with all their seniors. And so they were very excited about what was happening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And like I said,
What a great direction.
Oh, you bet.
It is. Great direction.
All right. So next up we'll call in Adam. So
He was.
he's on. Okay, you're there.
I'm here.
Okay. Is this strategically placed?
Microphone.
We have microphones on the table? Oh, there they are. Okay. Okay. We're good. Adam, you have the floor.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for letting me be on tonight. I get kind of lonely out here for you guys, so I really appreciate any chance to chat with you guys. I saw Dan when I was there a few weeks ago, and I can just see everyone else. And so, Terry, to answer your question, no, I still do not have a team yet, but I promise I will work on it at some point.
Good.
So,
Keep working.
Like I said, I'm really excited to talk to you guys tonight because something that we've been working on for a long, long time finally happened, where we got the VA approval to start the VA benefits for the helicopter program. We got those approvals on August 2nd, and then as you guys know, the fall semester started on August 14th. So basically what that meant is that we had 8 working days, including the day that we got the letter, to get the semester put together, identify the students, get them enrolled, all those types of things. So obviously there was a lot of work that had to be done in a very short time. Thanks to a total team effort that included everyone out here, lots of people in Dodge and student services and human resources and academic affairs, even in security and IT and everywhere else. We were able to enroll 18 students in those 8 days. Although one did decide after his first week of flying that he decided flying wasn't for him and he ended up dropping out. But we, as of right now, have 17 students in the program, one of which is actually from Kansas. One of the things that you guys are familiar with the flight program is the VA's 85-15 policy, which basically says that no more than 85% of the credit hours in those courses can be paid for with VA money. And so the ratio for this semester, just so you guys know, is roughly 76-24, which means that we're actually doing a very good job of recruiting non-veterans and things in the VA's regulations. We actually have quite a bit of wiggle room there this semester. I think a big part of that is obviously when we switched providers, as you guys know, we made the program significantly more affordable. We basically reduced the cost from roughly $340,000 to $120,000 without reducing any revenue to the college. And so that's something that's made it much more realistic for students to enroll in and still support the program. As of right now, we have 5 new students that have already enrolled for spring semester, and we have a waiting list. Since we still have 3 months before the start of spring, we should be able to add more students and clear any wait lists. One of the things that we're doing is we're conducting bi-weekly information sessions
where people have actually been coming from around the country to attend these, to learn about the program and tour the facilities and whatnot. So it's actually been a pretty exciting thing for us. And actually within the last couple of weeks, we've received 3 different phone calls from residents of Ford County expressing interest in the program and wanting to enroll. So again, there's some interest there, which is again, pretty exciting for us. Speaking of Ford County, the plan, just so you guys know, is still to reopen the program in Dodge City. As we've talked about before, we want to make sure that we run it for a few semesters out here to make sure that we work out any bugs and that we know what we're doing. And then there's also some items that need to be figured out and worked through as we prepare to bring the program back to Dodge. Such things such as hangar space, faculty, those types of things will have to be addressed before we can get things back up and running there. Neil Jones with Quantum Helicopters, as Andrea mentioned a minute ago, Neil will be in town next week to look at some of those items, as well as be part of the Manufacturing Day helicopter landing. So as we talked about the helicopter landing, it actually is pretty exciting. The way that it kind of came about, and I know Ms. Hampton asked if it's something we could do on a regular basis. I think that's something that we can discuss, because I would definitely be interested in that. But the way it kind of came about is we were talking to students, and students, especially out here, think Dodge City is cool. You know, they just love Dodge City and the Wild West and all those types of things. And so one of them came up to me and was saying, so when do we get to go to Dodge? As part of our program, when do we get to go to Dodge City? And so we had some conversations, and between Neil Jones and myself, and then again a lot of other people, we kind of decided that we would try to make this thing work, and so far it seems like there's a lot of excitement both in Dodge City and here surrounding it. As Andrea said, the helicopters will be landing. Both of them will be landing about 12:30. We're pretty excited because they're decked out in Dodge City here, so the helicopters come down, they will look and feel like Dodge City helicopters with our logos on them and everything else. So they're pretty cool. And if you've never seen a helicopter up close, like if you've never sat in one, if you've never seen one land, if you've never seen one take off, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty darn cool. And so I would highly recommend, if you want to see a land, be there at 12:30. If you want to see one take off, be there around 7 o'clock. It's a pretty cool experience for everyone involved. The other thing is getting a chance to talk to the pilots and whatnot. One of our instructors that will be there is actually a former Black Hawk helicopter pilot. So if you ever want to talk to someone who's flown Black Hawk helicopter and can tell you all about it, Tim's a pretty cool guy and can tell you everything you want to know. But again, it's something that we think will be good, obviously for the student as part of his course, but also for the residents of Ford County and Dodge City to be able to come and have a cool experience. I'd like to just kind of wrap up my portion by sharing some feedback with you guys that I've been getting from our students. Just overwhelmingly, the feedback we've been getting is very, very positive. And I actually had 2 of the students ask if I would be willing to share their feedback with you guys. So I've actually asked Carla if she would be kind enough to give each of you a copy of the feedback that then I will read out loud. So Carla, if you could pass those out, I would appreciate that.
You got him, Adam.
Okay. So the first student, his name is Brian Kuhn. And Brian says, I know that if it weren't for Dodge City Community College, I wouldn't be flying helicopters right now. I plan on going to Chandler Gilbert Community College, but they canceled the helicopter program last minute. Another huge benefit was being able to use my VA benefit, which has saved me thousands of dollars. You were very helpful getting me enrolled, and working with you on getting into the school was overall a much better experience than with Chandler Gilbert Community College. Thanks for everything you've done, Brian Toom. The second is from Anthony McGlory. And Anthony is a non-traditional student, he's a little bit older, and he says, for years, I have been looking for a helicopter flight instructor program. It had to be the right combination of both a college program with course offerings that were acceptable to the VA for funding, as well as an acceptable location. Dodge City was a welcome opportunity. As a retired naval officer and former commanding officer, I was concerned with both safety and sustainability of the program. I had begun a rotary wing program at another college in California, only to have the program canceled due to poor course and enrollment management. It appears that Dodge City has found a good match with Quantum, and bringing flight instructor training to the Chandler area is a complete win-win for all. It is a very, very difficult undertaking to develop a college flight program. It is high risk with many moving parts. I want to thank Dodge City and its Board of Trustees for doing their homework and taking the bold step of agreeing to offer this degree program at a remote site from the main campus. There is a real demand for pilots and instructors in the industry. Dodge City has answered with a comprehensive program. Thank you to the college and those who made this possible. Anthony Mig McGlory. So again, I wanted to share that with you, and it's kind of the cool things. Anthony is actually the pilot that's going to be flying into Dodge next week. So again, I would highly recommend and encourage everybody, come meet Anthony, come meet our instructors. Let them know that they're part of the Dodge community, because they feel like they are. They love Dodge City. They're excited about it. And again, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to share their feedback with you. So with that, I will express my gratitude again. Thank you guys. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
Yep.
Any questions for Adam?
Adam, the cost to the student is $120,000. How much of that passes through to the helicopter provider, and how much does the college get to keep?
I don't have the exact breakdown in front of me, Dan, but I can get that to you fairly easily. But yeah, I can get it to you.
Okay.
That's half the price, though. That's half the price it was with the other company.
What was it before with...
220, 250.
Yeah, what was it before?
Before with our previous provider, the cost of the program was $340,000.
Yeah, he just said that. He said that a while ago.
And the amount that the college receives is the exact same.
So that's in the form of fees and or tuition? Just tuition fees, so like 3%?
We have our regular tuition fees that we have for all of our courses. And then for the 5 flight courses, there's an aviation fee. So that would be our normal flight, or our normal tuition and fees, plus those flight fees for those 5 courses.
And Adam, Dan, I'm glad you brought that up. I know some farmers that have talked to me about now the prices where they can afford it. And so they're interested in taking the helicopter program here in Kansas. So they can fly their helicopter, because they have fields in different areas, like y'all have them in different locations. And so they're interested in being able to fly those helicopters.
Well, I was just wondering how much the college gets to keep, and how much passes back through to the provider. And does that include educational materials, or just flight time, the $120,000?
So like the $120,000 would include all the materials for the flight courses. So like for the math class, if there's a math book, or if there's a book for their computer class, that would be additional.
Okay. And how many employees do we have down there?
So right now there's me. There is Cynthia, who's our VA coordinator. We are currently interviewing for a student services representative. And then we have our adjunct faculty.
So we have 3 now, counting the adjunct, and we're trying to hire a 4th.
No, you just have 3.
There's 3, and then there's several adjunct faculty
Okay.
on top of the 3 full-time people.
How many adjunct do we hire?
The flight program is a little bit different because they teach on an hourly basis, and so I believe that there are 7 or 8 adjunct faculty, but again, they get paid on an hourly basis based on what they actually fly.
Do you have an idea what our monthly expenses are? I'm not talking about. Well, I'm not talking about for helicopters. I'm talking about salaries, Social Security, health insurance, rent for building. What are those monthly expenses going to be?
That's probably something that has to be pulled by the business office to give you an exact amount. Like I said, anything that I would do would be a guess, but probably wouldn't include everything that you're looking for.
So I could get that from Dr. Forgy, probably.
Please go through to Gary on that, okay?
Okay, Gary, that's a request. You've got it.
Send it to me.
Okay.
Dr. John?
Yeah.
Have we received authority from the VA to operate in Kansas yet?
Not yet. Like I said, I have not been actively seeking it since we're still working through some things as far as, like I said, the hangar space, and I knew that it was a little ways off. So as soon as I feel like we're getting a little bit closer, I will start that process, and we should be able to get it, I would hope, relatively quickly.
We're trying to work through the process and make sure that we have a good relationship with the VA.
Are our adjunct instructors both classroom and flight instructors?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Nolte, have they ever told us why they suspended the authority?
Why they suspended us?
Yes, that was about 3 years ago. I mean, did they ever tell us?
Adam, did they ever tell us why they suspended us? We can go into a long answer, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty long story. But basically, there were some things that we thought that we were doing correctly, and apparently we weren't. But yeah, they sent us a letter kind of stating the reasons why they withdrew the approval.
Did we ever make any attempts to change or modify?
Oh, well, yes. But that's why Gary and I and Glenn and Alan and all of us were up there talking to a large group of people for 2 days of our life that we can't get back.
Yeah. So Terry, one thing I can say is that the reasoning in Kansas was the same as the reasoning in Utah, which was the same as the reasoning in Arizona. And so we've addressed all those issues, and so that's why I'm fairly confident that when we go for the approvals back in Kansas, that we should really get them, because we've already met the requirements and fixed a lot of the things. And as you know, it took quite a while to kind of build those relationships back up with the VA and kind of show them that we're doing things the way that we should. And but like I said, they were the same issues in all 3 states.
Okay, thank you.
Is our Phoenix and office and classroom space in the same location? Are they connected?
As far as where they fly the helicopters versus where my office is?
Well, don't we have classroom space down there for flight instruction, book work, or so whatever they have to complete the program besides flying?
Yeah, so at the airport where Quantum has their office, we utilize a classroom and an office there. And then about a mile away, we have the lease that you guys approved here a few months ago, where my office is. We've got a classroom here, and so we kind of utilize both of those spaces right now, and they're about a mile apart.
Okay.
So there was issues with the program in the past. And so I was not there, so I can't criticize too much, but it appears to me that I don't think that there was quite the transparency between administration and board. I do not think there was information being passed along that kept the board up to date. But nonetheless, when a college or any entity goes on and does a different endeavor such as this, the board its responsibility is to provide proper oversight, which, things occurred, and we, like Dr. Nolte said, we sat there for 2 days and listened to the VA and their concerns about what had happened basically from 13 on up to basically 17. And Adam, I know, has worked tirelessly providing the VA with additional but correct information on the operations, which he had to basically go in and dig through and reconstruct because our record keeping wasn't the best. And so as a result of all that effort and providing that correct information to the VA and rebuilding that relationship, the VA and plus the Arizona State Approving Agency then felt that we were ready to be reinstated. And we had resolved some of the issues. And I say some because what I want to do is I want to form another subcommittee which provides proper oversight, and that'll be on monitoring and the VA, the helicopter program. And I'm calling some people to serve on this, which I think the vice chairman of the trustees should be the chair of that committee, whoever that vice chair is at the time. I would ask at this time if Ms. Hampton would be on it, and Dan, I'd like to ask if you would be willing to serve on it. And by doing so, you will be working with Adam and the VA. And part of it, when you do these things, is the board has to be trained so that we have the right information to be able to ask the difficult questions. And that's what we have to do to provide that kind of oversight so we don't get into the situation that we are now just getting out of. So if you're all willing to do this, we will meet. And so right now the VA is in the process of changing their structure somewhat as it involves the helicopter program. But they're putting together right now a national team of representatives to focus on the flight programs. So when that gets put in place, then I will seek to have training and meetings with this group, either with the full board level, but at least with the subcommittee, so that we get the training we need to have that connection with the VA so that we as a board can help provide the proper oversight that we're required to do for the taxpayers. So if you're all willing, I'd like for the three of you to serve on this. Okay? And this is an important deal. And so like I said, it's incumbent upon us to make sure we get the training so we can ask those tough questions. And then by working with Adam and the VA, that we become very knowledgeable in the VA program and be able to avoid some of the messes that might have occurred in the past.
So it was set up wrong probably 2008, 2009. And so our job is to make sure, and I feel sorry and I applaud Glenn, because sometimes I felt like he was the only one that was getting hammered, and you were by some people, the provider that we had and others, and I felt like sometimes he was the only one in reason, and so I do think this is a good opportunity for us to do it right. I think we need to step back, look at it, and do the right thing. Keep the program, because I know the VA is very interested in helping us. But the situation is, I think this is an opportunity for us to do what was wrong. We'll do it, make it right.
So when entities such as this, anybody, when we deal with, if you want to look at the VA as possibly your regulator or what have you, they have a program they want somebody to administer. And it's important that you have a relationship with them that is in partnership, not in contention, and not in in combative. And I feel that maybe that relationship was contentious, and we cannot have a relationship with them. We have to be partners with them. That means we go to them whenever we have an idea and get their input. We have dialogue with them, much exactly what you're doing now with HLC. Instead of treating that regulator as a villain or a foe, but as a partner. And that's how we will succeed in like taking that route and that approach. So that will be our goal and our objective, is to treat the VA as a partner, because we are partners. They have a program they want administered for their veterans, and we are a college that can provide that. Adam, I applaud you for the work that you've done. When we sit there, and I don't know how many times I heard that in that the two-day meeting, is the VA say, "This is your program. This is your program." And I think we kick that responsibility off to Gordon's team to do, and not ours. And it's our program. We have to take ownership of it. We have to understand it, and we have to administer it correctly. And we're going to do that by working in partnership with the VA.
I have another question of Adam. Adam, how long does it take to complete the program? Is it 2 semesters?
It's a 5-semester program.
It's a how many? 5-semester program? And how many flight hours do these students get? I mean, hundreds, I suppose.
Yeah, as far as actually in the air,
yes.
I would have to do the math off the top of my head, and don't quote me on this, or I want to around 250, something like that, but it could be, I could be off a little bit.
And the whole program, the 5 semesters, costs these students $120,000 now?
Yeah, like I said, that includes all of our regular tuition fees, all that stuff for the genetics in the program, for everything. Like I said, the only additional cost may be if there was a textbook or something like that for one of the general education courses.
But we don't know what our tuition and fees amount is?
Like I said, I've got a spreadsheet that has that breakdown. I just don't have it in front of me.
Okay. But you can send that to the chair, and he can send that on through?
I recall kind of from
We did
Veda's
get one of
presentation,
those.
it's like
We got one of
3%. Roughly.
That's something different now.
So
That's totally
it's
different.
totally
We're
different
not,
setup.
we're in a whole new world.
Thank God. Okay.
I
We'll get that.
I'd kind of like to know what our tuition fees are. Yeah.
See, that's why we have to have ownership with it, because the college is a pass-through. And we've got to make sure that we're billing the VA and treating it correctly. Otherwise, we're the ones responsible.
But
That's
we
why
we
it's
also
incumbent
have to
upon
make
us.
sure that our expenses don't outweigh what we're bringing in.
True, but
You've got a lot of programs like that. For example, IE nursing.
I know, but
our tech
I know.
So
You
from
keep bringing up nursing, but
it's a good program though.
Fiscal year 11-12, even the problems the VA flight program had through fiscal year 18-19, net revenue brought in to Ford County from outside the county was $3.5 million brought into Ford County. So that is one of the reasons why, but the other reason why is we have, the bad record and possibly the issue with the VA that I think we're getting through, that we're now on the approach to basically build our name back.
And this is an aviation state. Kansas is an aviation state, as we know, and I'd love to see us get into fixed wings and other things, airplane mechanics and things like that, because those are hard to find now. Whether it be helicopter or whatever. I mean, you've got Spirit Airlines in Wichita. It's well known as you go to Wichita and everything's aviation. So I think it's an opportunity for us to grow that out here in Western Kansas.
But with your efforts, Adam, and the VA and the Arizona State Approving Agent has seen us fit to continue on. So that is a great sign about where we stand with the VA. And so, and Jane, you brought up with the prior discussion is the follow through. And with all these tech programs and the Walmart leads and all these leads and this with the VA, it all comes down to follow through. And it's what we have to do to go to the next stage.
And monitor.
Follow through.
And monitor.
We must not let our partners down.
No. So, okay. Adam, any other questions for Adam? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week.
Okay.
You bet.
I'd like to make a comment about that because this program was not as appreciated when we started it as it is now in the workforce. And to me, it behooves us to do everything we can to build it back. And I really think that's a necessary move on our part.
Well, in every program we have, Ms. Hampton, we need to do it right. Every program we bring in, whether it be, trained with HVAC or electrical, all those kind of programs, we need to make sure that, and we may need to make sure we have the checks and balances. I don't think we had the checks and balances from the get-go in our helicopter program. And so we've got to work on making sure that we are accountable.
That's right. So, especially with this program, the pass-through nature of it, I mean, that exposes the college to risk.
I think we have to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of Fort County too, though.
That's right. And if I hadn't seen that this thing had the potential to bring that type of money into Fort County, and it would not have been worthwhile.
And it did at first.
It did. Well, the high point, it was 2015, I think, was the high of the enrollment. I have those numbers here, but 15 or 16. And so, but that's what it brought in. So it has that potential now with us basically cutting the cost almost in third. The number of enrollees should, and like Harold said, it's like, we have people in Fort County wanting to take the program now that it's cost effective. So, all right, which it's 8 o'clock. Would we like to take a 5-minute break right quick before we get on to our action items?
Sure.
I wasn't looking at you in particular.
You always bring this fun. I love the sense of control.
Okay, we are back in session, and Adam John sent me an email or a text, but the email with the breakdown. But this text says what the college gets. So it's a little over $16,000 revenue. This is not including gen ed books that the college keeps from the $120,000 flight program cost.
Per student.
Per student. So it's $120,000 per student for just the flight program. Of that $120,000, the college gets a little over $16,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to board action items. A, so the custodial operations. So, Dr. Forgy?
Yes, we are wanting to amend our current contract with ServiceMaster to include the custodial services, servicing the student activity center or the dome. We had the facilities manager over there resign and accept another position, which left us without custodial services. And we thought ServiceMaster, since they've been doing such a good job with the rest of the campus, and we'll save us about $15,000.
How much?
About $15,000. So some of the other general maintenance that he's been doing over there, we've assigned to some of our current maintenance staff. Some of the duties, such as moving the goals out for the basketball teams, I have suggested that the teams and coaches can do that. So that's the recommendation, just to amend our current contract with ServiceMaster to include the student activities.
Okay. Do I have any questions?
No, but I have a comment. I think we've been very pleased with what we've seen from ServiceMaster's service. So I certainly think this would be the way to go, and I move that we do that.
I second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Move on to item C, technical training program equipment. Will, Dr. O'Rourke.
Thank you so much. Chairman Harshberger and trustees, Dr. Nolte, I hope that these next 5 recommendations will bring you joy as we are asking you to spend money from external sources to support our mission of instruction, quality instruction, curriculum, and advising and retention. So first on the list is a bid proposal to purchase 4 Lincoln welders. The cost of these, $26,910, is provided through Carl Perkins. The second page of the consent form indicates the bidding process, which was overseen by Dr. Fordy and Andy Nolan and also Justin Weil. If you do have specific questions about these tools, these devices that will be used in the welding classroom by our students, I would direct you to our professor of welding, Justin Weil, if there are questions.
Questions for Jane or Justin?
Is that the cost for all the welders, or is that cost
for four?
That's for
all 4.
Okay.
So we respectfully recommend your approval of this bid.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next up.
I request your permission to move item G up to the next discussion point, and that's the approval for the sales agreement for the purchase of the skid steer, which you approved the purchase of at the last board meeting. And so this is our sales agreement with Foley that you are asked to approve.
Good. And Glenn, I saw you looked over the contract.
Yes. And I think that since the board packet came out, Foley has agreed to attach the DA 146A form, which resolves the concerns that I have.
Okay.
Oh, great.
All right. So we have that resolved.
So we respectfully request your approval for the sales agreement.
All right.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay.
What?
Did you have all the answers?
That was just legal stuff. I'm gonna stay on that.
Thank you for the hats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't get a hat. I didn't get a hat.
Training when we deliver.
Thanks for coming. Okay. Where do you want to go to now since you're jumping around?
Thank you. I'd like to go to item D, the NIMBLE sand storage.
Okay.
And this is for us to replace our existing storage for our network. And this will be funded by our Title V grant, cost of $98,014.71. And this is to approve the purchase. You can see the bid proposal process that was followed on the subsequent pages. And if you have specific questions about the technology, Skylar Callahan, who is our virtualization specialist, which is fully funded through the Title V grant, is here to answer those specific questions. Skylar.
Any questions?
So,
Yes. What's a virtualization specialist?
That's a really good question. I've been answering that for 4 years now. Virtualization is a process where in the old days you might have a server that would have a hard drive, memory, and run a couple of processes. Now we take a physical server and make multiple virtual servers, which are like little containers for the servers. And then we right now have 4 very capable physical boxes that we can move those servers around live. The SAN houses all the storage that allows that to happen because they're all connected via fiber network, 10 gigabits. The big thing that they talk about with SANs is IOPS, if you want to look something up. That's input-output operations, and the speed of those tells you how fast that SAN's going to move. And the SAN we're on now, Title V purchased about 4 years ago, and it's adequate. It's carrying all the new Genzabar stuff. It's carrying every process on campus. The 4 servers, 2 fiber switches, and 1 SAN, which we thought if we had the opportunity to get a bigger, better SAN, as we're getting into year 5 of the grant, that'd be a good idea. So, and this one will have more than double the capacity in space. It has more caching drives, which are solid state, which don't have to spin, and it is very intelligent little box because it decides which is the most critical data that's being accessed the most and speeds it up to the top. And that's what those caching drives do for us.
So are we getting rid of something physical to take up storage space?
This is, we've kind of been virtual on the server side since we started in 2007. So everything's kind of progressed forward. Since we can move all this around live, nobody really knows when an old one goes away and a new one comes online. So no, we will have an older, we'll probably keep the existing SAN as a little bit of a backup for a while. And then there's an older IBM SAN that will go away and out of the box, out of the rack. Because, storage space, power, all those things. So we can easily spin up new servers, new computers that are needed. GICS and Genzabar project has brought in quite a few different test servers, different things we've spun up for different processes. Our email's been on virtual since 2015.
What's the projected life expectancy?
The projected life expectancy, and part of the reason we're looking at our 4-year-old one, is in technology, and especially with the higher end stuff, about 5-6 years. You're going to need to look at a return rate. One thing we are getting with the new SAN is the option at the 3-year interval to replace part of the innards at no cost.
That's why we need to keep looking at grants.
Yeah.
Very, very important for us to continue looking at, like Track 7 or Title 5s or grants. That's something that will keep us in those. That's what Skylar's in right now, and he's done a fantastic job. And we just need to continue with that. So is Chloe. And it's just an opportunity for us to get more things like that. And that's what Clark Coco is also involved in too.
Good job.
Do they wear out, or do they just get
They kind of just
technology
technology
outdated?
starts lapsing.
They just
We're looking, I know it's okay to talk about Wi-Fi right now.
Sure.
We're looking at see if we can rearrange some of the grant funds for Wi-Fi, because our Wi-Fi was put in back in 2012 with the Track 7. And that technology is starting, it's 7 years old. Everyone's bringing new devices that are running twice as fast as Wi-Fi. So we're trying to see if we can get permission through the grant people to replace the Wi-Fi as well. We're starting year 5, October 1st, and we already had servers to kind of refresh the servers towards the end of the grant. So hopefully we can leave everything. Maybe we can get Title 5 renewed out of the process.
We have
We're going to try to get as big a bang for the buck as we can on what we have in the grant before we move on.
We have let our grant consultant know that we are interested in applying for another Title V grant. We do have some funds to reallocate given some personnel positions that either we haven't been able to fill or that have recently been vacated. We did just put in a revision request for specific personnel so that we can hire a consultant to help us fulfill the objectives of the Title V grant for the remainder of its life, which ends this coming September, a year from now. Title V is, of course, a Department of Education grant, and it helps us serve our Hispanic population primarily, though the programs we develop and that Chloe is piloting, for instance, are a benefit to all of our students, and our focus this last year on advising and career counseling and virtualization.
One of the coolest things we did with virtualization towards the Genzabar project that I felt like was typically when you put in a new system, you have to learn a client for that system, and you have to visit every computer on campus to do that. And we were able to use a virtual server, a virtual application server, that you can launch the Genzabar application from any location in the world, and it will pretend like it's on your machine, and they don't have to go visit the machine to make it work.
Skylar, what we probably need to do eventually is, in a few months maybe, is have a show and tell over in the library for you to show. He's an amazing gentleman, and the amazing things that we have now because of this grant.
Oh yeah, that's not even touching all the multimedia.
The ABER panels.
And the software to go on.
If you're in the market for the most recent innovative tech tools, this guy.
He knows his stuff.
Like magic. Well, it's all magic. That's what we work with. It's all paper when you get right down to it. I mean, it's all magnetic paper. Impulses.
So, Skylar, this would be necessary as we proceed along and really start to improve and develop our digital experience on campus. Can you maybe get into some of that, how that's going to fit?
Well, the sand, I mean, just getting the better performance. People aren't going to have to wait as long. We're accessing the data. It's just everything's going to get bigger, better, faster. That's what we're trying to get, the best we can get with the money we have. That's what we've always done.
So, there in the years past, we fell way, way behind in our technology.
Mm-hmm.
And then we created a spin to try to get caught up. Do you anticipate what we need to budget on an annual basis to keep up with technology advancements so we don't fall behind again? It's something that we ought to be looking at, because I know
Really hard question.
that's something to consider.
Everything we did with Track 7, like I said, that was 2012. That's 7 years old. That's almost all of our Wi-Fi, or most of our network. The 10 gigabit fiber that's in the ground is going to carry us through. We put in 18 pair when we did it, so it's kind of like when you get a road that gets too busy, you add another lane. With the fiber, we just add another pair, and we just keep broadening it out. That's another thing the new SAN is going to bring to us is, right now, the SAN ties, there's two different switches for redundancy, so if one switch fails, the other one's still up. And our current SAN has 2 connections that are 10 gig fiber. The new SAN will have 4, so that we'll have twice as much pathway for the data to fly around.
And Track 7's coming up again, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to, I just got, that was a phone call last night.
All right. Yeah, we did. There are some buildings that didn't get done with Track 7 that could really use some attention.
Do we have enough fiber coming into the campus to carry us for a while? Or?
Yeah, I mean, through the Cameron upgrade, AT&T was contracted to the fiber, and we still have a lot of the dark fiber that way back in history when we had the analog ITB. That fiber still exists between us and the central office, and so they can light that up if we need more fiber. That's what they did for the fiber that we have now.
But how effective would that be?
What's that?
How effective would that be?
The fiber didn't really change in technology. It's just the pieces they put on the ends of it, so they could light up more, again, more paths, more pathways.
Don't talk to this group right here about Jensen Barb training.
I know. I've heard.
They're not very happy about it, okay?
It's great.
Contrary.
It's actually great. It's exciting. It's just a lot.
You act excited.
Change is hard for some people.
I just know that, as if we, get into this technical programs and expanding this college, this type of stuff is going to be a necessity. Mm-hmm. And then our digital spin is going to have to be looked at because it's going to have to keep up with that.
Well, and the network is kind of the foundation of everything, so we have to keep it that way.
So we do respectfully request your approval to purchase this sand for the attached bid.
Okay, so moved. Do I have a second?
Thanks.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. We want to go to Focus 2.
Focus 2, thank you. I did just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with Skylar over the past several years, but especially more closely the last few weeks. He's a fountain of knowledge, very professional and also very knowledgeable, and willing to take a late night to work with us.
Very smart.
Very smart. This concerns the purchase of 2 software licenses that our advising specialist through the Title V program, Chloe Wurst, will be working with as she pilots a career counseling training for faculty and staff on campus. And so one of these will also be used by the admissions office, the Apply software, and the career software obviously will be for current students to also use as they explore their strengths, weaknesses, aptitudes, and career options. And so we're requesting your approval to purchase both of these licenses through Title V grant funds. If you do have any questions, I would also like you to meet Chloe Worst. You've read about her, I think, quite frequently in my reports over recent months. So Chloe, would you like to add anything to what these licenses are? They'll be used by Jorge Australia too and SARC as well.
So with Focus 2, as she mentioned, there are 2 licenses. The first one is Focus 2 Career, and what that is we're using that to pilot our career advising. And so when we look at kind of the administration component behind that, it ties into the educational academic plan, and students will have access, they have their own account, they'll have access to not only career assessments that would characterize or kind of help develop or steer, I would say, the undecisiveness that might come here with their demographic population. But it allows students to build their resumes and develop and get networked with the career, with the community. And so what I mean by that is we have the labor and Bureau statistics as well as other conceptual models have been tied into the software that'll help develop the overall student and cater to the educational experience. The second one, which is Focus to Apply, as she mentioned, is we bought that specifically for admissions. And the reason is because there's been a lot of talk about how we can increase enrollment. And so when we talk about things like senior day and things like that, and we talk about recruiting or selling points that would really help drive students into the campus here, this is also a tool that anybody, they do not have to go to Dodge, but prospective students can use. And so what we're doing is really building in that connection or that experience for the students, whether they're looking forward to DC3 or currently here. Any questions?
Is this something, the last one you talked about, is this something that our counselors should be working with high school counselors on, and then developing a set of programs? If a student says, this is what I want to do, then we could say, you started at DC3, and you started DC3, and these are the courses you need to take at DC3 to get to where you want to be.
Sure, yes, sir.
We are working, you don't need to go away, I'm just going to finish up on this one. We are currently working quite closely with UST 443 on developing pathways. Our angle currently is to focus on workforce programs, and so my office is working very closely with Mike Martinez to develop a template for both their website and for ours, so that students can go to these websites, say, I really would like to go into the CNA program or into welding, and can see the initial first courses they should take, and then subsequent courses that they can take as well.
Well, that's what I was saying is students might say, this is what I want to do, and then we could say to them, a lot of students say, this is what I want to do, but they don't know what courses to take to get to that place. And so we could say, these are the courses you need to take to get to that place, and Dodge City Community College offers this.
I think that's a fantastic idea that we could maybe explore in the future using this software. Initially, as we pilot, we'll be focusing on our current registered students who are enrolled in our programs. But I think that's a great idea that we could talk about expanding in the following year.
And because Kathy and I were talking a while ago that a lot of students, when they're sophomores and juniors, are saying,
exactly,
where am I going? What do I want to do? How do I get there? Well, here's some things that you can look at, and here's how you get there, and here's what DC3 can do to help you get there.
Fantastic.
This is where you start. These are the courses we have to get you to where you're going.
And Dan, that's something that Dr. Dirksen and I have been talking about. I would love to have an office with an advisor or a counselor in the high school to help these students out, where they know they can go in there and talk. Because a lot of times, students don't want to talk it where there's a lot of other people. They want to talk one-on-one, especially when they don't have the answers. And like we all did that in college. We didn't know where to go and all that kind of thing. So I think it would behoove us to have maybe an office in the high school or somewhere like that. And they can also travel around to some of our other smaller schools, like Spearville or others. Sure. But I do think it's an opportunity for us, and the Pathways is opening that door for some of those programs. And we've got to make sure that students realize that not everybody's going to get their degree in English and math and science. People are going to get their degrees in other things, whether it be welding or diesel mechanics or whether it be nursing or whatever. And so those are the kinds of programs. But I want to make sure we have lifetime programs. I want to make sure that student, once they get that degree, they can, or that profession, that they can stay in that for lifetime. Electrician, they're hard to find. HVAC, you can't find an HVAC person. So, and these people make pretty good money.
Let's start pursuing it. I've been saying it for a year now.
We're working on it.
Question on the pathway program.
Okay.
How effective do you think it is now? Maybe Jen knows that.
I don't think it's effective. I think it's essential.
The pathways, how effective are they?
I think for the reasons that Dan was mentioning, and you probably know from your own personal experience or from observing your children, that it's very difficult to make a choice about your future when you're 15 or 16 years old, or if you're 30 years old. And so the pathway programs, I think, are effective in guiding students in a particular direction. How effective are they currently? I think that we're seeing some real definite growth, for instance, with our CNA pathway. We currently have 30 students in our CNA program, the one that's offered through the high school, with Sunshine Hicks as its instructor. And so those students are able to earn those, what I would call CNA credentials while they're in high school. Can be working as a nurse's aide when they're 17 and 18 and have a good beginning on a nursing program or some other pre-med program if that's what they choose to do. I think the important part of the pathway program, especially those that are linked with workforce areas, are that they do provide students options for well-paying work. Even as they continue on for a 4-year degree, should they decide to do that. And many of the CNAs and CMAs, the certified nurse aides and the certified med aides, will choose to do that.
Tell them what Devlin's getting ready to do, the program that he's starting to do. That's exciting.
We're very excited that Devlin Goldworm is wanting to offer digital photography. And so he's both willing to begin earning courses to give him the credentials to teach that at our college. And so we're going to be investing or proposing to use some expenditure funds for a digital photography lab. We're also, per Dr. Forgey's recommendation, going to be visiting with Christopher Spindler at the high school within the next couple of weeks about his computer science and computer graphics program. So that we hope we can build on those digital photography courses to offer web design and game design theory classes. So we feel that we'll be able to enroll a significant number of students through that pathway.
Well, I figured that it was a real service. Is it mostly the counselors that help students into those pathway patterns?
Mm-hmm. I think particularly in the high school, and probably the influence of our board members, the conversation, the public conversation now in our area about workforce programs and from school to work, those pathways, I think that's going to drive students in those areas as well. I think parents have a strong influence, but I think high school counselors and also our counseling software and working with Chloe will help students find those paths as well.
That's why it's so important for us, with like Andrea, bringing the counselors over and visiting with them, taking them to lunch and talking to them about programs that we have. And our goal is to develop that relationship. It's all about relationships. And if they know that they can ask us questions or we can ask them questions, I think that's going to work out. It's going to bode well for us.
One of the things we're trying to make better known too, in addition to the workforce pathways, which are very important, are our grant-funded partnerships with KU, K-State, and Fort Hays. I'll also be talking more with Wichita State about engineering pathways. And so our grant-funded pathways with K-State, for instance, offer students an avenue to math and science and engineering programs at K-State and provides tuition monies for students as well. And so that was part of the information I shared with the counselors last week, that we have these other opportunities as well. And that's not in any way to take away from the importance and the viability of the workforce programs, but for those students who do see themselves earning their degrees here and or transferring sometime before that to a four-year institution, that we also have those academic, if you will, pathways, and we're working on building more.
What about Brian Winters in that program that we've got going on there? I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
Good.
With the support of Christine Hazelforce from the foundation, and then Greg Goff, who's a very significant contributor to the foundation, we were approached with the idea of revitalizing our ag programs, specifically by focusing on a farm, ranch, feedlot pathway. We do currently have a similar curriculum in our course inventory, and so we've met to talk how that might work. Brian's vision is that students who are interested and taking courses in the farm, ranch, and feedlot program would have the opportunity, and we're not sure what we're going to call it just yet, an internship or a field experience of some such, working cattle and working ag, if you will, at different points in the academic year or the fiscal year at his farm, at his ranch. And so there would be, so would students live there? Would they commit to a certain number of weeks during the year to perform tasks and apply the knowledge in their courses at Dodge City Community College? So we're very excited about how that can unfold. I'm particularly excited about Clark Cocos having a greater role in those conversations. Because if you didn't know it, I'm not really a reader.
And Jane, I compliment to Jane. Jane has come out of her comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's talking about feedlot and all this other stuff. She goes, I'm not sure. But she's doing an absolutely wonderful job. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We do respectfully request your approval to purchase the Focus software.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have,
We have one more.
well, we haven't moved on that because it is contingent upon attorney approval, and you've rendered your opinion that we would probably have to vote to agree to their limited damages.
And that's true really with both of the next contracts you have. They're both software contracts. They both have limited warranties and limitations on liability. Not uncommon in our software contracts that we see, but by statute, the board has to take affirmative action to allow those provisions to remain.
So is that action separate from just the approval?
No, I think we've noted it.
Noted it? And so with your motion, then that would be noting that waiver?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's your second, okay. All right, then let's go ahead and take action on this one. We'll move on to the next one. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, okay. Next up.
Quality Matters is a software that has an immediate and direct application to course design, and it's the standard in the field. And Chairman Harshberger, you were talking earlier about the importance of us being able to drive the development of online, and so this particular software would be a strategic purchase in that regard. We are also excited about the opportunities for using this to assess and evaluate and revise our current courses as well. And there's a potential that we could use its rubrics in evaluation of course design. And the rubrics touch on things such as the design and accessibility of online classes. And again, if you would have questions of Chloe, please do ask. She's done a lot of research on this and has already begun exploring it for us.
Question? Okay. Lucini, do you have a motion to approve this purchase? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Got several. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Could I respectfully add, I do appreciate your support of these purchases, but I would like to say that Chloe has been with us just a little over a year at this point, and she's got so much positive energy and enthusiasm for the work that she does. She's been the driving force in our pilot training programs last year for faculty advising, and she's already knee-deep in the pilot for the spring, which will focus on career counseling. She recently started a doctoral program in advising at K-State. Very excited about that. And I really very much appreciate getting the chance to work with someone who's so thoughtful and so very proactive.
Which school is he going to?
K-State.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to have approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved to approve the consent agenda as presented before us.
Second. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. We do have 2 executive sessions that we need to do, so I'll let our attorney take us into the first one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recommend the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations with the Professional Relations Committee of the Dodge City Community College Faculty Association for the 2019-2020 school year pursuant to the employer-employee negotiations exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 754319B3. The open meeting to resume in this location at 8:52 p.m. In addition to the trustees, the president, college attorney, vice president Hawarda, vice president Corgi, and Carlo Petty should be included in the executive session.
Motion? Moving into executive session.
So moved.
Second? Second. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are now in executive session till 8:52. Okay, we are now back in session.
Used every day.
And there was action taken, or needs to be taken, so I'll let our attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend that the board approve the agreement arrived at by the 2 negotiating teams for the 2019-2020 faculty contract. The new contract to increase base of the salary index $1,050 from $34,125 to $35,175, and to appoint 2 committees, 1 committee to study the salary index and fair market value provisions in the contract, a second to appoint a committee to study the sick leave benefit in the contract. Those appointments to be made by October 7th.
Okay, there's the motion. For the recommendation, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. We will now go into executive session number 2. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I recommend the board recess into executive session to discuss the president's evaluation pursuant to the personnel matters involving non-elected personnel exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 754319B1. The open meeting to resume in this location at 9:13 p.m. In addition to the trustees, the president should be included in the executive session.
Okay, do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we are now in executive session. Okay. We are now back in session, and there is no action taken. So with that, we'll call our meeting adjourned. So thank you all very much, and good night.